and welcome to Modern Monarchy. This is the podcast where we have two American cousins, count 'em one and two, who discuss the world of the British royal family. My name is Jen, and if you're one of the 13 people that listened to the first few episodes like a couple years ago, I tried to do this on my own, and then it wasn't really vibing. So I felt like I needed somebody to bounce off of. And if you're wondering what I did for the past couple of years, I just hung out on Instagram, and I just have the page Modern Monarchy Podcast on Instagram, where I just got to release all of my opinions and just talk amongst the royal commentary community. But now, my lovely cousin has decided to join me. So I'd like to introduce you to Cassie. Cassie, say hi.
Hi!
We're planning on being here every other week, right?
Yeah, that's on the calendar.
That's what it says on the calendar.
So that's what I'm doing.
So the format of our episodes are going to be, the top part's going to be, we talk about the news, anything that's happened in the past couple of weeks, and then the bottom half of the episode will be deep diving on different topics about the British royal family. In this podcast, I'm going to be the one that is in way too deep and has spent way too much time researching people I don't know. And then Cassie's normal.
Let's put a huge asterisk on that. Nobody's ever described me as normal.
I just did.
Well, for the first time in your life, and you're older than me, so.
Okay, in this one arena,
okay,
you're the normie.
Okay, all right. I will accept that as my title in this particular instance.
Okay, excellent. So basically, I like to do research for funsies, but then I have too much information for one brain, so you're going to help me with that burden.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Normally that's my problem, but it's like weird science-y thing.
We're actually getting your consent for that right now.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah. Don't mind me. I'm going to be drinking from a Guinness, because it's St. Patrick's Day of the day that we are recording. And what does Cassie have?
Cassie doesn't subscribe to this holiday, to be honest. So Cassie does not wear green. Instead, I did, before we started recording, have Thin Mints.
I didn't know that about you, that you don't enjoy St. Patrick's Day.
I mean, it's not that I don't enjoy it. Like, I have nothing against it. I think it's a very valid holiday.
That would be a very good thing to say.
No. Like, I subscribe to the holiday for sure. Like, who else has a holiday who the whole premise is like, drink? Like, wear something green and drink.
I mean, you don't have to drink. The green is necessary. I'm a little disappointed.
Sorry. I love that we're just starting off hard with, I'm not upset, I'm just disappointed.
Just saying.
Cool.
Just saying.
Every parent's worst little dagger. Anyways.
Parents, so that's not how that works. Anyways, basically, back to the podcast.
Oops, this is gonna happen sometimes, guys.
Yeah, it happens. So you're my sounding board also. Like, you're not just helping me unload some of the information that I cannot contain in this call, but also you're going to maybe point out when my opinions point that maybe I'm a little too lost in the sauce.
Okay, alright. I can keep you in
You're
check.
like, hey, as a person who's a little more removed from royal news and such, maybe you're a little out of control.
Okay.
But
so reality checker.
Right reality checker, but I also feel like that as the podcast goes on and we talk about things more, and eventually your Google is going to feed you more news, you might become unreliable, is what I'm saying.
Got it. Okay.
I'm just
Wonderful.
saying. I'm just saying.
I love being told that I'm gonna get more unreliable as time passes.
Yes.
Like
Anyways,
a car.
it's gonna be fine. You're fine.
Okay. I
Yeah.
I trust you. I'm here.
Okay. But for now, we're not going to do the news today. And we're not going to deep dive today. We're gonna let people get to know us a little bit in like what we know about the royal family and like where we're coming from. I don't want to say politically, but like our points of view of the world. Um, but the top half, instead of doing news, we're gonna talk about Meghan's new show, which Cassie just watched, right?
I did. I watched it today just so, like, I had a whole plan because I have a lot of shit going on in my life. So I was like, I'm going to watch it the day of. So that was, like, really super fresh. And oof. I don't know if that was a mistake. Like, if I needed to marinate on this a little bit more, but.
Girl, that was a mistake. That was a mistake. I watched the show right when it came out, right? Because I have been waiting over a year for her to release something, and
Something.
just something. Um, because it was I can't remember now if she announced the show and then the website, or the website and then the show. But either way, it was a year ago, right? And she hadn't named the show yet, but she'd named the website where she was going to start merching things American Riviera Orchard, which was a tongue twister. And that was up until about 2 weeks before the show came out. And then she changed the website from American Riviera Orchard. Ugh, I'm not even practiced to say it anymore. To as ever. And claiming that she was doing it because the other one, saying that the website was full of stuff from the American Riviera was going to kind of like constrict what she could sell to just products from the area, but really she hadn't gotten the trademark. And to be honest, she still doesn't have as ever as a trademark. And it's interesting that she doesn't seem to like research these things or like get things in concrete before we like settle in on what it's going to be, and then we announce it to the public.
I was trying to find the timeline of it. And it's so funny. Like, literally just typing in, like, when did she announce it is, like, difficult to find. Like,
Yeah, I
which
think,
makes it seem murky to me.
yeah,
Even, like,
I
when you
think
add, like, 2024.
it was like January, February
Of this year or last year?
2024. It's not really that important.
I guess. I was just curious.
I just think it's interesting that she's going to be making, as ever, on her website, it says it's going to be a brand. And then she's like, it's more than a brand. It's, I don't know, a philosophy or something. But it's really, you're just merching shit you like, right?
I was gonna say, I'm like, it's like kind of the oldest marketing trick in the book where you just like take something that's not really yours and put your name on it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, other than the fresh fruit spread, it's not jam. It's
But
not
it's
jam.
so far. So I'm on the website right now. Right now they have tea, her raspberry spread, wildflower honey, flower sprinkles, of course,
Don't get me
uh,
started.
crepe mix, and shortbread cookies with flower sprinkles.
But again, you can't purchase any of it.
I was gonna say, I'm like, but yeah, it just says available in the spring. And that's the other thing too, is like so much of this stuff I've noticed is super vague with her, where it's not like it's happening on this date. It's like here's a month or here's a season.
Right, yeah. No. Not only that, it's coming out in spring. It's the middle of March now. It is spring. Like, I know the spring
Right?
equinox hasn't occurred, but
We're only days away.
it's essentially spring. And then
So anyways, long
she's
story short.
she's announced that she's got a season 2 coming out, and she kind of did it as like a celebratory, like, yay, I got approved for a second season. But really, it's like if you're gonna release season 2 in the fall, and it took you over a year to do season 1, I have a feeling that you've already recorded all of it. Like you already had 2 seasons in the can.
I agree with that. That makes sense because like I really I didn't look up like reviews or anything personally. Like
That's for the best.
I was gonna say I'm like I wanted to go in like completely because I didn't even know this was like even in existence until you're the one who told me about it a couple weeks ago, and I was like, oh, she's making a show. What?
Right.
Like,
That's why it's not getting a lot of views because it got views at the beginning for people like me being like, she's putting out content. I'm going to see it. I just want to see if she, first of all, says anything goofy. And by goofy, I mean like something about like her situation with the Royals or just like something newsworthy. And also like I've seen segments where she's on like cooking segments of news shows where she shows people how to make stuff and she basically shows them how to make fancy toast. So she's not amazing at cooking.
well, and honestly, the episode I think I enjoyed most was the one with Roy Hoy.
Shut up. I was gonna say that. Roy
So
Choi.
that Roy Choi. Okay, I'm like, let's. Anyways,
Yeah,
that
I
was
think it was
my favorite
episode 3.
episode.
Me
Yes,
too.
like out of all of them, like that one was like standout for me. Um, but the rest, like, and that I think was because she had a chef come in and teach her how to do something.
Yes. And like I feel like the whole vision or direction of the show wasn't quite hammered in. Like, are we hanging out with Meghan? Is that the vibe? We're just hanging out with Meghan. Or is Meghan trying to show me how to do things? Because she's not particularly good at them, and a lot of them, it felt like she did them for the first time.
And for me, it just felt very out of touch. Like, and I get
That's
that.
Meghan.
I know, but still, it's like
I
I
mean,
kind of was like, this is your opportunity to show people that you're not, maybe. Like, if
yeah.
that's been if that's been like a major critique, and you know it, like you have to know that shit. So like, that's your opportunity to be like, hang out with me, let's be chill, let's be cool. Like this is like I'm more down to earth than you think, and then this happens, and you're like, no.
So my thing with Meghan, and I feel like the one thing this show does right is that this is exactly what I thought it was going to be. Like,
Fair.
this is what Meghan is good at, and it is Instagram influencer with a television show.
Yeah.
Because I have been trying to nail down like how this woman thinks, which is impossible to do because she's always seemed inauthentic, especially on camera. And I've only seen her on camera.
Right. Exactly.
And I don't want to like get too into like trying to be a psychologist or whatever. But I just feel like as somebody like her who has spent the majority of her adulthood social climbing, and I don't mean that in like a negative way. I just mean like she found ways to meet people that, increased her station in life over and
Right.
over and over again. And in order to do that, you have to tell people or show people what you want them to think of you. And she's been
Right.
doing that for decades. And I don't think she knows who Meghan is anymore.
I feel like that's fair.
And I feel like there's like parts in this show that if you've ever like read interviews with her or she also had a podcast back in in 2022 because we had to pause after a couple episodes because the queen died. um,
And now she's doing another one.
she's doing another one. She was not given another season at Spotify. In fact, they said you're not working here anymore. And then one of the up and ups at Spotify did an interview calling Harry and Meghan grifters. I mean, fucking
What?
grifters was the quote. Yeah,
What?
yeah,
Wait,
yeah,
hold. I feel like I missed out. Like, good thing this wasn't on the test. I wouldn't have known.
yeah.
Oh my god! Wait, I didn't. This is
We'll
crazy.
do when we do deep dives. The one of the
Okay.
episodes will be Megan, and it's going to be really hard for me to make it like more concise because there's so much information about her that she has either told us or other people have said about her, and it is all conflicting. Like her own stories about her life conflict with what she
Uh,
used to say about her life. Like in this show, she's like trying to tell people that basically she was a latchkey kid who ate TV dinners. Like she was broke. And her dad was a lighting director for Married with Children and General Hospital. So like
she's she's okay. She
they
was
did
okay.
they took her out to like nice places to eat too. It's just that sometimes he was working a 16-hour day and you did have a TV dinner, but like that wasn't the only thing you ate, Megan.
It was just, and also it was just convenient in that moment.
Yeah, it was for
Okay.
convenience. Anyways,
Okay.
so
All
like
right. As long as we're gonna get back to this, because I just learned a fact that blew my mind a little bit.
oh, that she's a grifter.
Well, no. I mean, no, I knew that,
No,
but
it was
like that
just
somebody
like,
actually called her on it,
oh yeah, no, it was
and like somebody of like power,
what?
and like somebody of like power, like influence, like said it.
Yeah, I think he said it on a podcast. So
Nice.
maybe,
White dudes
maybe,
love to say shit like that on podcasts.
yeah, maybe he was a little loosey goosey. Like fun things that Prince Harry has said on podcasts is like he thinks that the First Amendment is ridiculous while living in our country.
What an interesting choice.
What an interesting choice as the prince of another country that wants to live here.
Right? Ooh. And specifically the country that we rebelled against.
Yeah.
Eh, minor detail. But
Oh well.
anyways,
Anyways, um, yeah, there was some other things that I noticed that she was saying to let us know what she wants us to think about her. Is like, I was, I grew up poor and I watched Jeopardy because I'm brainy. I'm always gonna tell you all the time, I'm smart. Okay, I was
my
brainy.
science teacher taught me about composting.
You're gonna ask my mom. And then in like the Netflix Meghan and Harry 6 episode thing that actually got traction because they were just talking shit about the royal family, they did interview her mom, so her mom could be like, Meghan was brainy. She was very brainy. Like, she read the lines.
Quick, you have to say this exactly.
Yeah. And then the other major theme of the show is she just really, really wants us to know she's a caring individual.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the fact that there's been investigations from the time that she was working in Kensington Palace, and many employees left and like created this group called like the Sussex Survivors because she was a bully.
Oh my god. Like I've heard things, but like I didn't know that there's like a whole like support group.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
She's a very
But
caring
that totally tracks
hostess.
because it feels, yeah, I could see that. Like, but I hear what you're saying, and I totally agree because there was that vibe of like, oh, I'm gonna do this thing. Like, she made a big deal about like, oh, I want to like really make sure that the guests' experience when they stay with me is like important, essentially. Like, oh, I'm putting the guest first, and they care most about the guest bedroom, and like, and oh, I'm gonna make dog treats for my friend's dog. Like
Yeah.
all of these little like, oh, and the gift, like when she was with Mindy Kaling and was like doing like the gift bags, it was like it's important for like the adults to have stuff too. Like there's this over emphasis on generosity.
hmm And like, I want you to go out and tell people how awesome it was to stay at my house.
Yes. And it's like this isn't even your house, by the way. This is a staged house, but okay. Even your dog looks uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. But like, even though, like, I also, when I host people, I'm like making sure that like I have an extra toothbrush in case you forgot your toothbrush. Like, I bought a roll-out bed with an extra set of sheets so people aren't sleeping on my couch. And like, I do
Right.
like make sure that when you're here, it is comfortable. But I'm not taking pretzels out of one bag and putting them into another bag. And then also telling the world I'm an environmentalist.
Right.
She also like was very concerned about hosting well, but at the same time, these people that were her friends, other than the episode where she had the two girls, Abby and whatever the other girl's name was,
Yeah.
um, those two seemed to actually be friends with her, but everybody else,
Yes.
it was like, I got these peanut butter pretzels for my friend, but I'm also gonna write peanut butter on the label in case he's allergic. But I just told you 2 seconds ago I got them because I've seen him eat them and I know he loves them.
I mean, I was a little surprised they even left in like when Mindy Kaling too was like going back to her when she was talking about the charcuterie board she was sent, and she was like, "Oh, they were numbered," and I got like 50, and then
Oh,
I
and
got
that
to
the
thinking,
those are the jams.
"Oh, sorry, the jams." Not I'm
She
like
okay,
what?
when she put out American Riviera Orchard and she just had that blank website where you could put it in your email so that they could update you if they ever decided to like post anything on the website. Um, what she did was she made 50 jars of jam with the American Riviera Orchard label on them and then put them in little baskets of lemons and then gave them to like 50 celebrities. And it was like in hopes that they would post on Instagram that they got a basket from Meghan.
Right? But the fact that they were numbered and like Mindy like kind of called her on it was like, so was that like a ranking? Was I like number 50? Like what?
Yeah.
Was that
Yeah.
like on purpose? And I was
Yeah.
like, ooh,
There were a
this feels
lot
a
of
little too
things.
real.
There were a lot of things about that episode that were just like, mm.
Honestly, that episode was the worst for me. Like,
It was. Like a lot of people point, like when they talk about this show, the first thing they talk about is when Mindy's making a joke about, well, not really a joke, but like she's making a comment on who would imagine that Meghan Markle would eat at Jack in the Box and love it. As in, like, you're so bougie, and no one would ever imagine you eating Jack in the Box. But Megan's immediate reaction is to not even look up at her while she's talking to her. She continues to work on what she's working on. She goes, "It's so funny that you keep calling me Meghan Markle. You know I'm Sussex now." And we're like,
it felt, yeah,
wow.
that was so uncomfortable.
I mean, a lot of people were commenting on the fact that, like, her last name isn't Sussex, which,
Right?
if she wanted to use, like, a married name, it would probably be Mountbatten Windsor. But, like, I understand that maybe she wants to use Sussex to A, remind you she's a duchess because she fucking loves that title, even though she wants nothing to do with the royal family. And also, if she uses Markle, it's like connecting her to the family she doesn't talk to. But if they use Mountbatten Windsor, it connects them to the other family they don't talk to. And so they've conveniently got this Sussex title that they technically can use as a last name that makes them this little, like, nuclear unit against, like, it's just them, their own little
Right.
tiny family unit. And it's interesting. And I don't really see people calling her Meghan Sussex ever.
I was gonna say, I'm like, never.
Yeah. Um, I'm pretty sure her kids use Sussex as their last name in school, or just like for anything that they have to like sign
Fine.
off on. Yeah. Um, I
But yeah, it's
forgot where I
funny,
was
like,
going with it.
well, we were talking about how that was like, the Mindy episode was probably the worst.
Yeah, but like it was that, and there was like one other thing that she said. Like she said, like instead of Le Creuset, she said Le Creuset, and like she kind of got corrected by Megan on that too. And Mindy even came back with like oh well, somebody's been to Europe. And it's just like this is
Right.
really awkward. And the whole premise of this episode is we're making stuff for a children's party, and there aren't any freaking children.
And it's just kind of like it reinforces that thought that people are having and that feeling, and I don't think it's wrong. They're like, they're not actually friends.
No.
Like
And then
it's very clear that they like you would know if somebody was your friend how like if they grew up eating fast food. Like
yeah. Mindy was on an episode of her podcast in 2022, and I honestly think that's the last time they talked.
for real?
Yeah,
Oh
because
my
she said
god.
that they're pen pals, which
Nobody's a pen pal anymore.
nobody does that. I
I feel
think
like
that
today's pen pal is that person that you don't have conversation with, but you still like weirdly send each other Instagram reels.
yeah, yeah. But for Megan, it's like you're a celebrity, and I can like reel you into things. Like,
Right.
I think Mindy's still in the, oh my God, you're a princess kind of glow with Megan. And so she can, like, send her the jam, have her on a podcast, have her on the TV show, and Mindy will be there. The other thing I
It's I
didn't like,
mean, yeah.
the other thing I didn't like about the Sussex thing, if we go back to that for just a second, is with Mindy specifically. Mindy's situation is a little non-conventional in the way that like she has three kids with her last name and she's never said who their father is. And so it just felt like it was really strange for Megan to really harp on the fact that like it's really important, to have that family name you share with your children. And I'm like, in a very traditional sense, yeah, but you're talking to somebody who's doing it a little less traditionally. And have you ever asked her how she feels about that?
No, because they're not really friends.
Because this is awkward.
And
But
it's
like
like it's funny too because it's is that the episode that comes like right before the
Joy,
Roy Choi episode?
yeah,
So it's for me, it was one of those moments where it almost felt like whiplash, because like the sequence of the show was Mindy and then Roy, and it felt like two totally different shows.
it really did. And I
And
liked,
then we went back to like mediocrity for the rest of it.
yeah, I think the other one that I liked just under Roy Choi is the woman from Tatcha, where she taught her how to make pot stickers.
Oh yes, I did like that one too. But I think
And
again,
it,
like going back to like having somebody who teaches her how to do something feels so much more authentic
yeah,
than I'm just gonna make donuts for the first time
Oh my God. Okay, first of all, when she made those freaking donuts and she baked them, she's like, we're from LA. Nobody understands Angelinos, but like, LA is the capital of the world for donuts. And I'm like, okay, then you should know that nobody eats a baked donut, first of all.
Right? That's not a thing.
Then you want to impress this guy who's a literal chef with some donuts that I even think she mentioned that she's never made them before, so she doesn't
Yeah,
even know if
she
they're good.
exactly. She did not make them before because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, whoa, what a wild thing to do.
And then like when they came out, they were still like
They didn't look
I
right,
just feel like everything she baked or cooked was undercooked.
right?
Like the donuts came out and they were pale. And like the quiche that she made, as she was taking it out, she was like, I hope we cooked it long enough. The last thing you want is a runny quiche. And then she immediately cuts into it and she's like, oh, good. It's still a little soft and squishy in the middle. Like it's still a little juicy or whatever. And it's
Right?
like, okay, so
You
did
just
you want it
said,
runny or not? You should have cut out that line before.
right?
And
Somebody should have stopped
also,
you.
if you take a quiche and you put in fresh tomato and then you bake it, when the tomato cooks, it releases water into the quiche. So it was never going to be solid.
She never said she understood science. She just said she really liked her science teacher and composting.
Yeah, no, 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 no. Okay, so if we could get into the nitpicking of like technical skills, when I first started watching the first episode, I had to text you immediately to complain about A, her knife skills, which
Oh,
she
yeah.
cuts everything with a paring knife.
Which is
Like,
psychotic.
get a chef's knife, first of all. Not only that, don't like hold. I don't even have anything that looks like a carrot. Here's my lip gloss. Like, don't hold your carrot like this and then come at it with a paring knife like this so you can chop off your little fingers. What are you doing? Then she cooks this one pot spaghetti, which I hate. I cannot stand one pot pasta dishes. You are supposed to cook the pasta in a lot of water to release a lot of the starch. And then when you want to put the sauce on and you want to use some of that sauce, that starch from the pasta water to make it a little thicker, you take like a half a cup or a cup of that pasta water and you add it to the pan. You don't allow the pasta to just sit in the starch water and absorb it all again so it becomes a thick starch glue paste. And then go, see, it's creamy without adding cream. It's not cream, that's glue. That is glue. And then
That
and
you're
then
not wrong.
the shit she was wearing, other than the Roy Choi episode, where she actually had like actual clothes you would cook with, like an apron, short sleeve shirt, hair back in a ponytail. All the other ones, like there's a clip of her carrying crudité because she freaking loves her crudité. Um,
Right?
she's carrying it and she's got like the cauliflower right here in her hair.
Oh my god. Oh, what was the other one she did? Oh, she was like, "Oh, I'm just going to use my hand as a strainer." And I was like, "Ew."
I mean, if you want to do that for your own drink at your own house,
Fine.
fine.
But don't
But
do that.
you're on TV, right?
Yeah, that one I was like, "Huh?"
And you're serving this to somebody else who, A, is not your friend.
Well, oh my god. But and I messaged you today as I started watching it, and she's like, "Fold in the blah blah blah," and I was like, "She didn't fucking fold it in." Like she dumped it in the like whatever she was doing, and then she stirred it, and I'm like, "That's not folding it in."
It's not.
Clearly, you learn nothing from Schitt's Creek.
I don't think she would get that show.
I don't think she would either. That feels over her head.
I feel like she's too. I don't want to keep saying lost in the sauce, but like she's too in her own
The
bougie
lost in the
rich
one pot
world.
pasta sauce.
I don't think she would get the premise of the show.
She would really, I think, empathize with Alexis.
Is that the daughter?
The sister, yeah.
The sister, yeah. I've seen like a few episodes here and there, but I haven't made it all the way through.
Oh my god, that's a great show.
I keep
Anyways.
seeing clips on the internet, oot and a boot, and they make me giggle.
So where you been, buddy?
I've been watching Severance with my cat.
Okay, yes, but Schitt's Creek has been like over and done with for years. Severance just started, what, 2 years ago? A year ago?
It's also like the whole show, and I have to like prepare myself for like.
It's not, there's not that level of intensity, like brain intensity.
No, I mean like for seasons of a show.
Yeah, but it's also a 30-minute show, so it ends up being like 20 minutes, so it's not dense.
I was gonna make a joke about people being dense, but I won't. I'll keep it to myself.
Yeah, Jen, you don't want any comments on this about how catty you are.
Alright.
That woman, Julie. I'm gonna call her Julie.
Yeah.
From Oklahoma.
Yeah. Every person who says something mean about our show is Julie.
It's actually, I shouldn't use that. I work with a Julie and she's lovely.
I've known a few Julies and it's pretty 50-50.
I agree with that statement.
Yeah.
Anyways,
The
overall, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say the only other thing that drove me nuts as a person who doesn't particularly like Meghan, uh, was her trying to relate to people while also trying to like show off. As in like with Roy Choi, she's like really harping on the being from Los Angeles thing, even though she hasn't been there in decades. And she was trying to like say, oh, I had so many Korean friends.
Yes.
Even though she's mentioned that, I mean, she did have some Korean friends as far as I know, and she like did hang out with their parents. The thing I specifically remember is her mom used to take her to Korean spas, and Meghan was deeply, deeply uncomfortable because everybody was naked. And she just like has mentioned that a couple of times. So for her to bring it up in the show was kind of weird. It was like, you've always brought that up as something you didn't appreciate. So maybe don't bring it up now.
Reading
when,
the room does not seem to be her forte, though.
No, and then when Delphi, is that what her name was? Delphina?
Yeah.
Nacho Figueroa's wife, who we all thought that they were friends because we've seen them hang out at like polo matches a lot. But she mentioned at some point that she hasn't seen her in a couple of years, and like she also came on the show, and Meghan was like, "Oh, you're so tall," and it's like, "Isn't this your friend?" Like,
right? You just showed like a video of you guys like hiking together.
Right. And then in the hiking, you clearly Delphi was given lines or questions to give Meghan so Meghan to talk about herself more. Like she just randomly goes, "You were a Girl Scout when you were a child, right?" And then Meghan's like, "Yeah, I was a Girl Scout for many years." It's like, where did this come from? Who cares?
Right. That's not how that works. And like I said, like I think overall for me, like this just goes back to she had an opportunity to actually appear authentic to people, and she just made it worse.
Yeah. And I don't think that it could be better. Because again, I don't think Meghan knows who Meghan is.
Which is, if that's truly the case, like, it's just sad. Like, and is that because of her position? Is that because of who she is? Like, because I have to wonder too, and I know that we'll probably get into this on one of our deep dive episodes, but like for me, when I think about the royal family, I wonder, like, and honestly, any celebrity in a way, but it's like you give up some level of autonomy. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think some level of that, like, there is a part of you that is not yours.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But it seems like that's a much bigger part of her than not. Whereas I think for other people, there's a lot more separation, or they can create more separation, or that's just not inherently who they are. But it's hard with her, clearly.
Yeah. I just again, I clearly spent a lot of time digesting any content I can get where she is speaking. Like, even if I don't want to listen to your stupid podcast, I'm going to listen to your stupid podcast because I'm trying to learn about Meghan through Meghan. And I just keep getting what she wants me to know, what she wants me to think, even if it butts up against what I'm looking at right now.
Right. Or what she's said in the past, clearly.
Yeah.
But at this point in
So,
time, she wants you to think this.
so like basically the show was meant for people who like Meghan. I don't know how many of them there are. Uh, because it wasn't, she wasn't, I learned absolutely nothing.
I
Because
mean,
I think she
correct.
wanted to
Other
make,
than, obviously, in order to up level anything, you sprinkle fucking flowers on it.
I hate the flower sprinkles
Oh, I hated it
so
too.
much.
Like, it didn't need to be on that, like, rainbow platter. It didn't need to be, like, there are some things where I'm like, okay, that's kind of cute. Like, again, like with the donuts. Honestly, looked cute on the donuts, fine. But, like, on everything, when it's like, oh, gotta add flowers. I'm like, stop. Somebody take those away from you.
Yeah, yeah, no. Also, if you hand me something that has edible flowers on it, I pretty much never eat them because it's weird. They don't add to the flavor. They add a weird texture of, okay, I'm eating flour now. I
Yeah, they're
don't know.
accessories. They're not the main
I,
course.
I guess they're edible, which means I won't die, but like, why?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's one
And I,
last thing. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, okay. Last thing was like, for me too, it's like, that's not up leveling a dish.
No,
Like that was
especially
her
if
whole
that's
big thing.
your
Is she's like, oh, this is how I zhuzh this up, and it's like, is that all you got?
if that's the only thing you have.
Right. It's like,
It's,
it's the
I can
essentially saying I add a little bit of fancy salt.
I put flowers on everything, and if possible, I make a label because I can kind of do calligraphy. And so these are my skills. I just wanted
So
to
yeah.
do one last thing because the jam, the jam is bothering me. Jam is bothering me immensely because first of all, it's not a jam, and I'm going to show you a clip of something where she's going to again express that it is not jam and then continue to call it jam. But I've made preserves, right? Fruit preserves specifically. And I've always done it with the recipe where you add pectin to the recipe. It's like fruit, sugar, pectin, and some lemon juice. And the pectin is what makes it solidify into like a jelly.
Right.
Because like the difference between and jelly is just the juice jellied, and jam has the bits in it. Still has like the skin,
Right.
right? And you can make jam without pectin. I mean, without adding pectin by adding in a ton of sugar, because there is pectin in the skin of the fruit, And in order to activate it, you have to add a lot of sugar. I can understand that she doesn't want to eat that much sugar. Cool. But you're not making jam anymore. Because, like, if you notice, every time she's, like, scooping it out, it's, like, just above soup consistency.
Right,
Like,
exactly. And jam is inherently gooey.
right. It's jammy. It's
Right.
like,
That's its jam.
yeah. So, the
Insert.
other thing is, I can't find that right now.
Ow.
I don't know. What are the buttons? Oh,
What's
nope, 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 nope.
Hopefully that I don't know how it sounded for you, but that sounded very loud for me. Like that sounded like completely out of alignment for like the level in which I even made the joke, and then there was that was like 10 times louder.
Wow. That's interesting. On this side, it was like on par. What if
Oh,
I do it like this level?
that feels less loud to me.
Okay, that's like almost nothing.
Oh my god, weird.
That's like almost zero.
Oh,
Um,
insane.
Good to know for
Anyways.
later when I want to throw in a random.
I love that so much. Okay.
Princess
Anyways,
Charlotte.
you're gonna show me a video of her talking jam slash not
Talking
jam.
jam. Because my other thing about the jam is that, like, I don't understand if you're going to make your recipe just a bunch of fruit and then a little bit of sugar and you throwed it, and you throw it
Throw
in
it
a
on the
jar.
ground.
That's not something that you can A, mass produce and put in jars for people to sell and have people keep in like their pantry for an extended period of time.
Right.
So I can't wait for her to actually start selling it so I can go on the website and see what the ingredients are. All right,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
so
Okay.
I'm going to play a clip from the Drew Barrymore show, which Meghan was on. They had like a little 3-minute interview, and then they had like a cooking segment where they made thumbprint cookies with Megan's not jam.
Hmm.
And we're gonna put it in this podcast and then hopefully not get like a copyright strike. All right, can you see? Or is
Yeah.
everything good over there?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
I can't hear it though.
Okay, we can fix it. Okay, so the video is gonna play in my media player. Apparently doesn't want to play the sound for you, so I'm going to just share the, oh, yeah, I'm just going to share the YouTube video and hopefully still we won't get a copyright strike.
Okay,
Chocolate, anything you like.
I can hear it.
Enough, you can call this jam. Jam has to be equal parts fruit and equal parts sugar. So if you had 8 cups of fruit, you would have to have 8 cups of sugar, which this is why it tastes so differently, because
You taste the fruit.
when I was eating it with my spoon upstairs and going in and housing it, I was like, there's no cloying artificial flavor.
Yeah, and it does taste really
Why are they
natural.
clapping?
Yeah, the sweetness is coming from the fruit
They were
and not this
probably prompted
cloying
to.
artificial sweetener flavoring.
And you want to taste the garden, right? I love being out in the garden. I love being able to garden.
The garden.
I want to be able to garden with my children. So when we pick berries and all of that, I just kept playing with the recipe for years. And then finally saying, okay, this is what I like to give to my friends. This is what I like to serve to my family. How do you scale that up to be able to share it in a much bigger way? So it's a lot of recipe testing, but I want everyone to have it. So all to say, it's super easy. When I start
Yeah. So,
But it's not jam.
but it's not jam, but she's gonna keep calling it jam. The other thing I thought was funny about that clip was that you get kind of the sense of that interview where like Drew Barrymore is so intense with her guests. Like she is in their face, looking in their eyes, and she is sharing all of the emotion with them. And Meghan, who has been known to be like, I'm just a hugger and I'm just like from LA and I just love people. As opposed to that British royal family, they didn't even want to hug me. And it's just like she has met her match on this show. Where even Meghan is like, uh-huh, like you're a little close to her.
Right? And she's got this, like, she almost looks like hunched over, where she's like defensive about it, where it's like, don't come any
Oh,
closer.
yeah, no, there's that, and then she's also like really awkward. I don't know if
Right?
she like needed to practice being interviewed some more before she did this, but like there's a moment later on where um Drew shares a picture of when she met Diana with Meghan, and Meghan's like, "Wow, that's really special." And then Drew's like gushing about like how amazing Diana was. Like I've never met a more wonderful, authentic, like just
Everything you're not
absolutely
type of lady.
amazing person. And then it was almost like Meghan was like waiting for her to end the sentence with, before I met you. You're the most amazing person I've ever met. But then she says all that about Diana, and she's like, I'm gonna have to tell H you said that. And and that's
Oh my
literally what she
God.
did. It was really awkward as hell.
Bad.
But I also like that like Drew's trying to go along with the fact that Megan doesn't want to add too much sugar, but she is kind of not getting it because she's like, yeah, it doesn't have that like artificial sweetener flavor. And it's like, sugar's natural. Like, you know that, right?
Right?
Yeah.
And also, like, okay, but you still have to get the consistency right. So
The
if you're not adding as
consistency,
much sugar, what are you using?
right. And if you're going to be making something that needs to be shelf stable so that you can store it somewhere for weeks or months before you sell it and ship it to people, and then it sits on their shelves for weeks or months, what are you putting in there? Because I can guarantee you it's not going to be a bunch of natural stuff.
Right.
So I'm just like, I'm waiting for her to start selling it so I can flip that little jar around and I can see what's in it.
Watch, she won't even like have the nutrition facts on the website. It'll just be like, buy it and find out.
Just buy it. Did you see that it comes with a keepsake box if you pay a little more?
No! Oh
Yeah.
God, I missed that. Wait. Now I gotta go back. I hate the logo.
The as ever.
Yeah, like
Or
it's
the palm
cute.
trees.
The palm trees. With the hummingbirds. What's like the palm
But
trees are
she
clearly
but,
California.
but she also didn't research, and the palm tree with the two birds flying into it is the crest of a town in Mallorca. So she she didn't look up. She either didn't look and find if there's already somebody using this image, or she straight up stole it. Like she saw it and was like, yes.
Oh, you know, I scrolled right by. I didn't even like see that as I wasn't even thinking of that as like an individual product, like the way it's on the website. But now I'm seeing
I mean, it looks like it's just like the box it comes in,
right, like it
but
should just come in that box. I should not
but
have to
then
pay
she wrote
extra
that
for
it's
it.
like it's a keepsake box
Yes, keepsake packaging.
so that you can treasure this.
Very sustainable.
It's sustainable if it just sits on your shelf, you know,
Right?
and then you can explain to people why it's there.
Oh God.
All right, are you ready to move
I'm
on
ready. I'm
to
ready to
get
move. I'm
away from
ready
Megan?
to be quizzed.
Okay, so this is a placement test, and this is going to be not just for you and me. I mean, I'm gonna answer these questions too. So some of it is so that when we're talking about stuff later, I have an idea of how much I might need to explain things.
Okay. The answer is a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Although I don't know. Sometimes you know stuff.
Sometimes I
Um,
do know stuff. That's true.
this isn't all knowledge based. Some of it is just information about you that might help us get to know like how you know as much as you know. Like one of my favorite things to do is watch people who don't normally talk about the royal family or Meghan Markle. I watch them talk about it because I want to see what information is getting out to the world, and like because it's a crazy game of telephone. For example, I watch a girl on YouTube. I've watched her for years. Her name is Samantha Joe. She's from Wisconsin. She's been a YouTuber since she was like 16, and she moved to Florida a few years ago. And everything about her life seems to be just like about social media and her life. Like she doesn't really talk about international anything. She started a podcast with her bestie, Andrew TMI. They start talking about the royal family because she heard some conspiracy theories and she was reporting them as like kind of news. Like she knew stuff that like most people don't know. And I was like, ooh, this should be good. So there was, this was last year when the king had first announced that he has cancer. And Harry flew from California to the UK to see his dad like the next day, which is crazy because I don't know if you know, the king of the United Kingdom, and he's a little busy. He has appointments to keep. So you can't just like show up one day and be like, hey, dad, let's hang out. I heard you have cancer.
Let's go throw the ball around for good time's sake.
So he was in there for like 45 minutes and then he just flew home, which we were like you were not expected. That must have been really weird and awkward. I'm not sure what you accomplished you couldn't have done on a phone call. And also Mr. Environmentalist just like jet setting halfway around the world and then just calling back home. What are you doing? Like at least plan a trip so that you can go there for an extended period of time, maybe do some other things. Stop flying to the UK all the time. Anyways, getting sidetracked.
Yeah. I know, and my brain's like, who pays for that?
For Harry,
Yeah. Are they like fully cut off, or do they get some like money?
they're cut off.
Okay.
They
All right.
complain about that. Um,
Oh, boo-hoo.
they don't want to be working royals, but they would like to still get money. Okay.
Okay. All right, got it. Anyways, back to the test.
So no, back to what I was saying about this was Harry goes to Clarence's house to see his dad for 45 minutes. And then afterwards, Charles has to go from London to like Norwich. I think he was going to Highgrove. So the fastest way to get there is helicopter. So he takes a helicopter and he leaves, right? Everybody sees the helicopter leave and they're like, oh, I guess the meeting with Harry's over. Samantha Joe hears about this from I don't know who. But all that she got from this is that the king had cancer and it's so bad he is gonna die any second. He had to be airlifted from Buckingham Palace. Ma'am, what?
No.
Like, no, they just use helicopters when they need to get somewhere fast.
Oh my god. But It tracks. And
So,
conspiracy theorists believe everything.
I just think it's interesting how information travels. So, first question.
Okay, I'm ready.
How old are you?
30.
Do you know? Do you know how old you are?
Okay, so I didn't really celebrate my birthday last year, like officially. So I had a big year last year, so I
You're a
forget.
little busy.
I'm 30. I turned 31 this year.
You said I'm 30, like that woman from SNL who goes, I'm 50.
30's the new 50?
Do you even know what I'm talking about?
Who is no? Who is that?
I will show you at some other point.
Okay, all right. Anyways, I'm 30.
Okay, I am 36. So I was like just for reference in like royal stuff, we'll say a bit touchstone. Diana died in 97.
I was gonna say, I'm like,
I
I
was 9.
I I don't. I was 3, so
So you don't remember.
I really don't. Like I know there was a lot of hype around it. And
Yeah,
like
you
I
could say that. You could say it. The entire world like felt like they lost a sister. Like,
I do remember like this weird like not necessarily being 3 because I don't really remember that
mhm.
period of my life. But like I remember getting older and like hearing it continually be talked about, and I was like, this lady must have been a big deal.
Yeah, I remember where I was when we got the news. Like, I
But that feels
kind
like my
of,
9/11.
yeah, kind of like that. It's one of those moments. And it's like I was in the back seat of the car, and I just had like I knew there was a royal family. I knew there was a princess, but I was 9, right? I didn't really know much about her, but my mom heard it on the news and she gasped. And so I was like, I'm missing something. And then she goes, do you know who Princess Diana is? And I was like, yes, that blonde lady. And then my mom, like, just barely, like, roughly says something about the fact that she was just, like, one of the most kindest, lovely people in the entire world. And just me being, like, a slightly emotional child, I was like, oh no, I
Also,
didn't
I
like
think
when
it's
nice people
important.
die.
It's important, I think, for reference for the audience to know, like, so this is my aunt. And so I have to imagine my aunt telling you this.
In the car, she's driving, not even
And
looking
I
at
can
me.
see your mom being like, Jennifer.
Yeah, like absolutely like about to cry herself.
Yes, a thousand
Yes.
percent. Like, just like exasperated.
Yes. And then like over the next few months, it's just all over the news. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
like I'm seeing like the funeral with her sons in the procession, and
And
it
I was
was just
3.
like you and you were 3, but I bet you probably feel about it the same way I feel about like Freddie Mercury died when I was 3, but I still get really sad about the fact that like he died early. Like
Yeah.
I watch documentaries and stuff about it, and I see what the news was like when Freddie Mercury died. I feel like it's kind of similar, but I feel like the hoopla about Diana was on another level.
Well, and I think for me too, like learning more about her later, like I now that I'm older and understand and like have heard some because on like for me, like the two people I've heard the most about are her and the Queen. And
Mm.
honestly, probably because of the Netflix show, The Queen. But like, I. So for me, I have a level of like sympathy for Diana. I can't say empathy because I haven't been like. I mean, I am empathetic towards her situation, but like I've never been in a situation like that. And like to hear some of the stuff she went through was like awful, awful. So
Yeah.
like And not saying that, like, obviously, like, in the instance you gave with, like, Freddie Mercury, like, obviously with the AIDS pandemic, like, that's obviously super sad, too.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, yeah. He was not in the public... Well, he was in the public eye. I don't know. But I hear what you're saying. So, yeah. Anyways.
Well, she had a wider fan base, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Especially with homophobia being a lot more common back then. And, like...
Right. And acceptable.
And just, yeah, normal. Like,
Right.
Ellen was gay, and when she said that out loud, she lost her television show, even though
Right.
it was really popular. Like, people loved the Ellen show.
Right.
So, Diana wasn't gay, so... so I guess more people were fine with liking her.
All right.
Next question. Where are you from? Like, where do you live? Because you, for the most part, have lived in the same area?
Yeah, so
I've school.
Yeah, I lived in Vermont, or I currently live in Vermont. I've almost pretty much lived here. I lived in Utah for a year because why would you want to stay in exactly the same place when you could go to the most opposite place?
Utah?
It was a wild time, yes. And honestly, I think launched my slight obsession with cults.
Yeah, I drove through Utah to get to where I live now.
And you didn't stay, hopefully.
I did not. I mean, the geography, beautiful. The
Yes.
rocks, the mountains.
When it's not smoggy.
Well, the day I drove through, beautiful day.
Love that for you.
It was absolutely beautiful. I was like, wow, I see why the Mormons love it.
They just stopped there because they couldn't go anywhere else.
It's very secluded and gorgeous. What else could you want? So I am also from New England, but I'm from New Hampshire.
The upside down
I did
Vermont.
spend. Let's not get into that argument. Clearly, Vermont is the one that's upside down. You couldn't stand up if New Hampshire wasn't there.
We just sound like the drunk, like, we're drunk uncle.
You would just, like...
fall over.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And then, what else have I done? I lived in Vermont for 10 months. That was something. It was an interesting time in my life.
That was a very interesting time in my life. We lived together for those 10 months, if you couldn't figure that out.
We lived together. We turned your hair ketchup red. And,
oh my God. I loved it until it grew out. But, you know. The bleaching part was a little nuts.
I lived in DC for 4 months. I lived in Sicily for half a year. And now I'm in Oregon. I think that's it.
And I feel we both traveled a decent amount, too.
Oh, yeah. We have fun traveling. And we're interested in international thingies a little bit.
I was going to say, I mean, for me, like, I love Europe in general, like, where I've been so far. Like, I think part of why the royal family is interesting to me is because, we have Scottish heritage. And I loved Scotland. Like, Scotland's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Scotland is, and the monarchy, it's a very complicated topic. I'm pretty sure you're aware of that.
No, I had no idea that they had a weird relationship.
Even our last name, I haven't dug into it, but I really need to at some point to actually figure out which clan Fraser we are, because there's two, and one fought
I know this.
for the monarchy, and one fought for Scotland.
I think we're the ones that fought for Scotland, buddy.
Oh, that's good.
I'm pretty sure.
That's what I'm hoping for. And we also have like 2 different crests for the clan. Because I had a little crest necklace, and I wasn't sure if I had the right one. I think the one I had a stag on it, and I think the other one has like strawberries. Do you know this? Like, do you have this somewhere?
I'm trying to find. I thought I made notes about it at some point because we went to Scotland and both of them, like we went to Inverness, which is where the Fraser clans are from.
Mm-hmm.
And we found, I think we're the Highland ones. So the Clan Fraser of Lovat
I hope
with the
so.
stags.
Oh, good. I had a stag necklace thing with the belt.
But
As in like the little Presty jewelry. It has like whatever your thing is with a belt around it.
yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Although we have different, I think we have different tartans.
Probably.
But tartans, I always get lost in tartandom because like there's like your standard tartan, your hunting tartan, your fancy tartan, your
Right? You're
Thursday
talking for
tartan.
Monday. I love you.
Yay!
But
So
anyways.
yeah, so yeah, I always hope that we're the ones that fought for Scotland, and I would like Scotland to become independent one day, even though I enjoy the monarchy. Interesting.
Yes. Okay. We definitely are the side that fought primarily for Scotland.
Excellent.
Notably during the Wars of Scottish Independence and the Jacobite Rebellion.
Ooh.
Jacobite? I thought it was Jacobite.
Is it not Jacobite?
I'm pretty sure it's Jacobite. I feel like when Mr. Milchek pronounced that awful Swedish word.
Apparently he looked that up, and that's what
Um,
he found.
I was told he consulted Google based off of his interview with Colbert.
Oh,
Have you seen that clip?
no.
Okay, I will. That's one I have to send you.
Okay,
Anyways,
we'll do that later.
next question.
That's
Next
separate.
question.
That's not Megan. So we're not going to do the next question because we kind of just talked about it. Enough for that. Um, how often do you hear about them in the news and or social media? Like, do you see that stuff every day? Or
No, I feel
since
like.
you've been watching Megan's show, have you?
Well, I only just watched it today. Remember?
That's true.
So I'll see what happens tomorrow. I feel like I see.
But do you feel like when major stuff happens, then it kind of like,
And even then, though, like I feel like I don't actually hear that much about them,
do you know
like at
that
all.
Charles has cancer?
Yes,
Okay, so we got that.
and I know that what Kate Middleton had cancer too, right?
Yes, she's, I believe, in remission.
Right, like, and that was just
She's
recently announced. Like,
she
so
stopped taking treatment.
that doesn't mean in
I
remission.
don't want to I don't want to jinx anything.
Okay.
She
Well,
she's been
regardless,
into preventative chemotherapy, and
nobody does that preventatively. Nobody's like, you know what? Just to be on the safe side, just throw a little chemo on it.
that's what they said. So that's the
Okay.
story I'm sticking with. And
Okay.
she's done with that now.
But anyways, like, so I feel like major events like that.
Okay, cool. It'd be interesting to see if that frequency increases because I, as somebody who runs an Instagram page, even when I take a break for like a couple of months and I don't run the Instagram page, my, when Google Chrome opens up and you get the news thing instead of the search tab,
Yes.
or it's the news/search tab,
Mm-hmm.
mine, the first article is always something
About
British.
them.
Yeah. It's always something about the royal family, and it's always something recycled from like I'm telling you, if you ever at some point start looking into the news on them, it'll drive you batty because it is just recycled information on recycled information to the point that you're like, how are you allowed to run this as a headline? This is information we got 5 years ago. We all
Right?
talked about it. We've all discussed it.
This
And you're
isn't
just,
new.
oh, look, he's a floofy cat.
I was gonna say, I'm being pestered. This
Hello.
is Hale. For those of us
Hello.
watching.
Kitty. She doesn't want to look at me.
No, she
I'm
does
offended.
not.
My kitty's
Anyways.
sleeping over here. What are your general feelings on the royal family as a whole?
I honestly, in a way, I don't have a problem with them, but I also at this point don't really know what purpose they serve practically, other than being this dedicated figurehead of preserving British history in a way.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just a constant for the British people.
There's
Where it's
definitely that and some other stuff. But that's
and
next
I know they
episode.
have duties and whatnot, but it feels a little bit like the taxpayers are paying for them to just do things that it's I mean, like I said, bottom line, I'm not really sure what their practical purpose is in today's. But I don't have a problem with them. Good
Okay.
for you. If that's working for you and you're
Okay. Because next
still allowed.
the next episode we do is a deep dive on exactly what do they do? Why
I saw
are they
that.
there?
And I was like, great, I can't wait to learn about that.
You're like, great, I would like to know.
Because currently I don't have a, like I said, I don't have a negative perception of it. I just turned into a cat.
Wow.
In case you didn't know, cosplay as Professor McGonagall incredibly convincing.
It's not even a cat, it's just fur.
That's how I convince people I've turned into a cat. Just got really close with some hair. Okay.
Wow. This is impressive.
Can we?
Yeah,
Okay.
my next question kind of goes back a bit because I wasn't really planning on us to talk about Diana or anything, but do you have memories of them? What do you remember learning about them growing up? Because I remember as a kid, I knew they were there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then once Diana died, I was a little bit more interested because William was hot.
I was like, great, perfect time to shoot my shot.
Excellent.
He's gonna need support during these trying times.
I am in here for you. Okay. I'm 6 years too young for you, but
And thousands of miles away, but
and you don't know I exist. I'm here for you.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I vaguely am aware, was aware of it. I remember being it being talked about. I remember my parents talking about it.
Oh yeah.
But it's funny, yeah. But I'm trying to think of other cultural events around that time that I remember that taking up a significant amount of conversation versus OJ, for example. But
yeah, that was a little bit earlier, and that was also everywhere, and that was a mess.
But I'm just saying, that's another thing that for example, my husband's mom remembers super vividly. She remembers watching the car chase on TV, and that wasn't something my parents. Not saying my parents are classier than my husband's parents,
I also like, well, yeah, I'm just like, wasn't that when people are at work?
Yeah, I think it was like in the early afternoon.
Like, I feel like people were busy. I don't know a lot of people that were actually actively watching the chase. Like,
The white Ford Bronco,
they've definitely seen clips of it later.
right? Yeah, so like I said, I was like loosely aware of it, but I became more aware of it later on. But I don't because I was only 3, as we've already
Yeah.
touched on. I don't
All
have
right.
like I feel like I can't say like, oh, I have this personal like memory of. I just remember being loosely aware that it happened and not really understanding why it
Okay.
mattered.
You weren't trying to like become a princess. I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. This next question is a little more knowledge based. Who are the family members that you can name off the top of your head?
Alive or dead?
We'll go alive or dead, but they have to be alive within the last 100 years because that's the kind of scope of the podcast.
Okay. So obviously there is Diana, Meghan, Harry, William, Charles, Camilla, um, Queen Elizabeth, Margaret.
Oh, I love Margaret.
I also love Margaret.
Oh, I love Margaret.
There's little kids now, but I don't know the kids' names to be honest with you. Like I know they exist. Kate, like Middleton. Ooh la la!
That's Charlotte.
Charlotte. Um, trying to think, who have I missed that like I should know?
Well, you did Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Who is her husband?
The Duke of Edinburgh.
Yeah, it's true. There's a new one of those now. Who is
Yeah.
also somebody else that you probably can't remember his name.
I'm like Matt Smith.
Yes, Prince Philip.
Philip! That's his name. He was a dick.
All right. Do you know Charles's siblings? There's 3 of them.
No.
I think you know one of them from the news. In a bad way. He was friends with Epstein.
Oh,
Starts with an A. The patron saint of Scotland.
Arthur? No.
And
Andrew. Oh, I forgot about him.
that's for the best.
I was gonna say, I'm like, I knew that there was like a royal associated with the whole Epstein thing, but like, Andrew
We'll do
means
an
nothing to me.
Andrew episode. You'll be disgusted, to be honest.
Probably why I didn't commit
Not a
anything
fun character.
about him.
Um,
I know there are royal corgis.
Yes, there are. And Andrew and his ex-wife, Sarah,
No.
Duchess of York, she used to try to be popular in the US after she got divorced, kind of like Meghan, by like selling books and stuff. She still does that. She's very grifty. And
That
Andrew
seems like a theme.
Andrew and Sarah live in the same house, and they watch the Queen's corgis.
Oh.
Yeah, and Sarah likes to use that for commercial advantage. So there's Charles, and then in between Andrew and Charles, there was Princess Anne,
Ah.
and then the youngest is Edward, who is the current Duke of Edinburgh.
Okay.
I think that's good enough for now. But you got most of them.
Yay! Like I said, thank you, Netflix's The Queen.
Yeah!
Also, shout out to Queen Elizabeth for being a horse girl. Love her for that.
Oh, big horse girl.
Love her.
Although I think there was at one point, there was like the big royal horse show. They brought out cows and she got really excited.
I love her for that. Honestly, that's part of the reason why I loved her so much is I was like, shit, she loves horses. I love horses. We ball. Like, she great.
Yeah.
You can't not like somebody who likes horses.
Okay, so my next question is probably easy because you seem to know most of the family. Okay, who was the previous monarch?
The previous one,
Not today's monarch.
Queen Elizabeth,
There you go. And today it is.
King Charles,
And the next is.
William.
Yeah, and then. You don't know his name.
I was gonna say I'm like one of William's kids.
Yeah, George.
Of course, it's George.
King George.
We always
He's
come
coming
back to a George.
You'll be back.
Okay. I'm doing good so
No.
far. I'm doing better than I thought I would. Watch, you're going to ask me a really hard question next.
No, there's only 2 more. And I think I know your answers-ish.
Okay.
What are your feelings on the Harry and Meghan situation?
Like, the situation in that, like, they don't want to be part of the monarchy?
All of it.
Okay.
That's how I feel, too.
I'm trying to think of, like, how to say this concisely, I guess. It's
Like, I spent, like, a half an hour talking about this with my therapist.
I hope your therapist listens to this podcast now.
Oh, I don't know. I told her to watch Meghan's show.
Now I'm curious what her thoughts are. I have a hard time with the fact that it's like, you don't want to be part of this institution, and that's fine. I think it's fair to be like, this is not something that we want, and we'd like to opt out. And that's not like a new thing. Like, I know other family members have done that, and that's fine. But like, for me, the struggle comes from kind of what we talked about earlier, where it's like, you don't want any of the responsibilities, but you want all the clout and you want all the perks. That's like saying, I want to go to Costco, but I don't want to buy a membership. So, like, what little ways can I get into Costco and fuck around without having a membership?
Yeah.
And then, like, exploiting those loopholes.
Yeah, they are like the thing that got me into this space, this royal community space. Because like I said, like, William got married and I watched the wedding and I was like, at least he picked a brunette. I'm normally a brunette, okay?
Like, well, there goes my chance, but solid competition.
I get it. And so, things kind of mellowed out with them a little bit. Like, there wasn't a lot of big news. And then I heard through the grapevine that Harry was getting married, and I was like, well, that's good for him, because growing up, all I heard about him was that, like, he's naked in Vegas and he's wearing a swastika and he's falling out of bars and punching paparazzi. He doesn't seem to be having a good time in life.
I mean, he thought he was.
I guess in the moment. But in general, it seemed a lot like chaos. And so then he was like, and engaged, and he does the engagement interview, and he was the most popular royal out of the whole family. Like, he was nice and personable, and he like did his working royal stuff, and everybody liked him. And I was like, I'm glad that's all turning around for him. Good job. And then the next thing I hear is that they've left the family, and I was like, oh, well, that sucks. Like, I'm sad that that didn't work out for them. I mean, I guess I get it. It didn't really work for Diana either, towards the end there. And, I guess I could see how it could be like a lot of pressure, especially for like Meghan, who was to me an unknown actress before that. And so like
I didn't know she was an actress for the longest time. I never watched Suits. I never got into it.
right, like I knew Suits existed, but it was a show about lawyers, and I was like, that's not my thing.
Same.
Yeah. So I didn't know who she was. She gets engaged, she gets married, and then she gets pregnant, and then they leave. And I was like, well, that's sad. It didn't work out for them. It wasn't till that Oprah interview that I went, what's going on here?
Wait,
Like,
what Oprah interview? See, I know a lot of like facts, I guess. Like I know
okay,
concrete
there's
things.
going to be a lot of things that like I'm just going to explain to you, and like not going to make you watch or listen to Megan's podcast from 2 years ago. I'm not going to make you do any of that. The Oprah interview is required.
Okay,
Which
hold on.
it's going to be tricky because I believe CBS took it off the website.
Can you not watch it on YouTube?
You might be able to find it. I definitely know people
I have
clipped
like
the shit out of it. Like
the
even
biggest moment.
I was watching
From 4 years ago?
2001.
Is this with Harry and Meghan?
Yeah. And it's probably like an hour.
Okay, this got clipped down to like 3 minutes.
No.
Whole interview on the Ellen
I'll
show.
I'll look so that you don't get spoiled, and then I'll send you a good
Okay.
look. I was like,
wait,
that
this one looks like it's like 45 minutes.
maybe that's it.
Okay.
This is so big that like I'm shocked you don't know what I'm talking about. Like I was watching a YouTube video on a completely unrelated topic before this. And even in that YouTube video, he referenced the part where in the show, Oprah, in the interview, Meghan said that she's so glad to be able to come out about her truth now, and she's been silent for so long. And then, of course, Oprah comes in with the, were you silent or were you silenced?
Oh, that's good.
The funny thing is, the first time I watched this interview, I know Oprah. I'm like, I know exactly what she's gonna ask. She did it. She did it.
That's
were
great.
You silent
okay.
Or were you silenced? Anyways.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah,
is that a clip?
That I am absolutely shocked you don't know what I'm talking about. Anyways, that is the turning point, because I watched these two people have an interview where they told their truth, and me as a person who was on their side being like, oh, I'm so sad this didn't work out for you, when I don't know about these two. And then because I felt weird about that, I had to like start reading more and like deep diving and being
and
like,
figuring out what was happening.
I need to know more about you two, and I need to realize I need to know if people are saying stuff about the royal family that I've never heard before, because what you're saying and everything I've ever heard not going together. Also, some of the stuff you're saying It's just verifiably untrue. And then I started researching and learning more and disagreeing with them more and more. And then I realized that I was listening to multiple podcasts about royal news, and I was talking to my radio. Like, I was talking back to the podcast. And I was like, I might need to release this. And that's when I tried to do the podcast first time. And then I started the Instagram page.
Which I stumbled upon on accident. And that's how this all started.
It's like, you might know this person.
And I was like, I know her face. What? Wait. And then I voice messaged you, probably an insane message on a Friday night, and was like, what is this that I just found?
It's funny that my first reaction was, I can explain.
It felt very much like a mom discovering her like teenage child's like search history, but like not in like a like it's not like bad like you'd expect it to be. It's just like them being obsessed with like learning like a Broadway musical lyrics and being like, what is happening here?
You like Broadway?
Right? Like again, it's not like a bad thing. It's just like, you didn't tell me this.
Surprise! It was mostly a surprise. Like, it was something I kept to myself because, as more of like a progressive, left-leaning person, it just is a lot of explaining to people why I care, why I give a shit, and it's just exhausting. And then on the other hand, I've been wanting to start podcasting, and I wanted to be able to do that in like a sandbox at the beginning where I can mess around and mess up and not have everybody I know message me
You.
and be like, oh, that was nice. Why'd you say that? What about this thing? Really messed up over here. So I just wanted to like keep it to myself for a while. But it's
fine. And then Instagram totally told on you.
And then, well, it has also been almost 3 years.
Yeah. Anyways, do we have one more question?
Last question.
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being, don't get alarmed, 1 being Republican with the small r, which means you don't want a monarchy, 10 being complete monarchist, they can do no wrong.
Ooh.
Where do you fall on the scale?
As if I was like a British citizen, or like considering the current political climate of the United States?
Let's pretend you're British and your money...
Okay, I like that better.
Your money's on the line.
Okay, if I was a British citizen, I feel like at this point in time, and also with the caveat that I would not like to be held to this number, I could easily be swayed with...
It's going on your driver's license, and you cannot change.
If you're an organ donor, you're an organ donor forever. You can't take that back.
You cannot take that back.
We need your eyeballs. You don't want those. Those are like that was the worst example on me. I'm so blind. Regardless. Again, and I only say that because, like, again, I don't know enough at this. I feel like I can't give you an educated answer to that, like, and say, like, oh, I'm a hard 10.
If it makes it easier for you right now, I have seen a lot of... I watch a lot of YouTube, and there are...
I couldn't tell.
There's a very large chunk of the British population that has no idea what the royal family does. Like, they don't keep up at all.
Fantastic.
So,
okay.
like, you're about on par with, like...
That honestly does make me feel better.
Regular British Joe Schmo who doesn't give a shit.
Fantastic.
Okay.
So I guess I'd say like 4. like, because again, for me, like, I don't really understand their purpose. And so if I had more information about, like, if I felt there was, like, truly a purpose to what they were doing, um, like I said, that's where I feel like, and that's where my caveat of, like, I feel like I could be swayed with that. But, like, as of right now, I'm on the lower end of it because I don't understand what their purpose is. And it just looks like you spend a lot of money on one family to be fancy.
So my answer is going to be interesting because I hate odd numbers. If I were to pick the correct number, it would probably be 7, but we're going to go with 6 because
I can't say 7.
it cannot be a 7.
Can you say 6.9?
You were going to say 5, weren't you? You were going to say 6.5.
No, I was going to say 6.9, and I was like, somebody's going to make a weird comment about that. And it's going to be me, apparently.
Right, 6.8. Because I feel like I enjoy that they exist. I think they are net positive. But that is only because of who is the monarch now, who was the last monarch, who's coming up next. I feel like those 3 individuals, very solid choices. We've lucked into that, or the UK has lucked into those 3. They are 3 individuals who actually care about the job, who are doing the best that they can to do it modestly, and are just doing it for the betterment of the people of the United Kingdom and also sometimes the Commonwealth. If George turns out to be a little shit,
a baron, if you will,
the monarchy could be abolished and I wouldn't care. Like, if for some reason Charles had died before he'd had kids, the person who'd be king right now is Andrew.
Ew.
Exactly. And I feel like
Thanks, Charles.
Yeah. So I feel like the country would have a dilemma on their hand of, do we just deal with this? Can we force him to leave? Or force him to abdicate? Or do we just abolish the whole thing?
The French are really good at questions like this.
They are very good. I mean, they're a little...
Worked for them.
It's a little much. But I suppose that's the only way you can do it sometimes.
Like I said, worked for them.
Yeah. So that's me. I'm a 6.8.
Okay.
Okay. I think that is the last question. There's not really a lot coming up for next week in the news that I can see right now. Obviously, today's St. Patrick's Day, and Catherine was at the Wellington Barracks in London, hanging out with some of the Irish Guards, handing out shamrocks, hanging out with Seamus the dog, and inspecting some troops. That's great. She wore green. Other choices she could have had. One year she wore a blue color instead of green. And everybody, it was really funny because everybody in the news was trying to say it was like a teal or an aqua. They were trying to make it a green that it wasn't.
What year was it? Do you know?
It's 2023. But the The color is Saint Patrick's blue.
Like, that's a legit color?
Yeah, like Saint Patrick's color is actually blue, not green. And if you look at their hats, the big bearskin hats, the Irish Guards have a plume that is blue, not green, because it's Saint Patrick's blue.
Got it.
So one year she wore blue, and everybody got real confused. And I just thought that was entertaining because everybody was trying to make it a green, and it wasn't.
Turquoise.
Did you find it?
I did. I really like this dress on her, actually.
But you could see how, like, you could maybe bend it towards a green, but it's not.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I'm hoping, okay, we'll talk about this later, because I'm getting too involved in her outfit. But she also wore the shamrock brooch, which last year was it last year? Or was it the year before? She recently got a specific Irish Guards brooch with their little symbol on it. So I thought that was interesting. She didn't wear that. She wore the shamrock. So we'll have to watch over the years to see what the pattern is. I don't think we'll talk about St. Patrick's Day on the next episode in 2 weeks, because it'll be a little
late.
There's 3 birthdays in the next 2 weeks, but 2 of them are little children. Well, not little. One of them's turning 13. So on the 21st is Lucas Tyndall turning 4, and that is Princess Anne's grandson. Ooh, are you there? Hello?
Yeah, I just lagged hard.
Oh, okay. Lucas Tyndall, Princess Anne's grandson, turning 4. That's not really something we'll talk about because, yay. On the 23rd, Princess Eugenie, who is one of Prince Andrew's daughters, is turning 35. Yay.
Woo.
Woo.
30s to 50.
And on the 29th is Isla Phillips, who is another one of Princess Anne's grandchildren. She's turning 13. What are you doing? You're looking something up.
I had to look up Prince Andrew. I was like, I don't even know what he looks like. He looks like he would be on a Jeffrey Epstein island.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh.
I think one of the bigger topics we'll have to talk about in the news is on the 20th through the 21st, Prince William is going to Estonia to see the president, see some companies that are doing some progressive stuff in the environment, and he's going to visit some Ukrainian refugee families and British troops that are over there on the front lines because they're right on the border with Russia. And am I at all nervous that they have announced ahead of time that the Prince of Wales is going to be on the border of Russia? No, not at all. But
he'll be fine.
He has been to Poland. I think he went to Poland last year. And usually when he goes to visit troops towards front lines, they don't tell us until he's already there. So, everything's going to be fine.
I'm sure it's fine.
It's fine. But I'm pretty sure there will be other news and things that will pop up.
Now you're making a face.
I'm making a face because I'm looking at the calendar. Because I was like, when is Meghan's podcast coming out? It's not till the 8th. So that's not even in the same time frame. So we won't even talk about that. I'm sure she'll do something weird.
She'll do something between now and then that'll be talk-worthy. Discussion-worthy.
Yeah, I think that's all I have for today.
I was gonna say, I'm like, that's like 2 hours.
Almost. I mean, we did spend a good 20 minutes talking about other things.
We would never.
Yeah.
We mostly stayed on track. That was pretty good for us.
Yeah. So if for some reason you're still listening to our podcast, please give us a like on YouTube. And I think I'm going to post this on Spotify. So I think you can follow people or subscribe to the podcasts on Spotify. And I also recently got Apple Music because of the King's Music Room that he just posted, which was fun, by the way. You should listen to it.
I was very excited to hear about that. I
I don't
need
know
to
if
do
you
that.
have Apple Music.
I don't. Can I listen to it without Apple Music? Or, like, can you send me a list of songs that are...
Well, it's the list of songs are good, but it's also the nice little blurbs he does in between because he talks about each thing. But right now I just got Apple Music through my Verizon account, and so I have 6 months for free.
Oh.
But I think that's just on my Verizon phone. I don't think I can log in anywhere else.
Well, regardless.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah. So this podcast has different accounts. Obviously, there's the Instagram. You can find it on Facebook. That I don't really post a ton there, but it is technically on Facebook. It is on X because when I started this, the owner of X wasn't a nightmare.
Yeah.
I don't post there.
Hasn't he always been?
What?
Hasn't he always been?
Oh, I don't remember if it. I think it was Twitter then, though.
It might have been. So
anyways,
it wasn't the current guy.
I don't really post on there, but I do scrounge around for media because when things are happening, that tends to be the best source to get like photos and videos instantly.
Got it.
Because the rest of the news has to like polish things before they can publish them.
And you can say whatever you want on Twitter. Or, sorry, X.
Yeah, you really can. We have a YouTube account. It's on Spotify. Pretty much, I think anywhere you look, there should be one of those link trees. So you can find us elsewhere. Oh, there's a TikTok. There is also a TikTok. If you want to message us directly, you can DM us on the Instagram page would be the best one because I'll actually get the notification. If you don't have Instagram, you can just email modernmonarchypodcast@gmail.com. I think that is it.
Amazing. We did so good.
We did it. And the sun's still up, unlike the last time we talked.
Oh, it is dark here.
Well, Pacific Coast over here, yeah.
East Coast over here.
Yeah.
So 3 hours behind me.
All right. Well, I'm gonna end this now.
Good idea.
Okay. Bye.